All right, we're back. Please give me a warm round of applause for Zeneca, who is on a mission to bring more education and curiosity to the blockchain. Please welcome him to the stage. Hey guys.
Hello everyone. Wow, this is amazing. Thank you all for being here, and I'm so excited to talk to you all about the importance of questions in Web3. I'm going to give you an intro of who I am in a moment, but I just want to talk about the title first and foremost. Originally, I was going to title it The Importance of Education in Web3, but I thought about like what's important for education, and at the heart and soul of it, it all comes down to questions. By the end of this talk, I hope that you will be inspired to ask more questions and also feel comfortable and confident answering questions. And if you're sitting there thinking, I'm new to this, I don't know anything, how can I be answering questions? Trust me, you know more than you think you know. We're going to get into all of that. All right, this clicker is not working. All right, here we go. So, I want to frame the whole talk with this wonderful quote. She who asks a question remains a fool for 5 minutes. She who does not ask remains a fool forever. In Zen Academy, my project, we have a rule. We don't have many rules, but one of the rules is there are no stupid questions, because I think we're all learning here. We're all figuring out what the hell is happening in this crazy, crazy NFT world, this Web3 space. So I think that asking questions is like one of the most important things that we can all do, and encouraging and fostering an environment where people feel comfortable and feel okay asking questions is going to be just the way that we move this entire space forward. All right, here we go. No, here we go. All right, who am I? That's me. Well, this is me. But that's my ape. I'm Zeneca. That's my profile. I've been joking all week that my Bored Ape hoodie is worth more now than the actual ape with the way the market's going. But I was a professional poker player for 15 years. So I don't come from a background of education. I don't come from a background, well, any sort of traditional background. I played poker for 15 years. And then I first heard about crypto and NFTs really, like properly at the start of 2021. February, March, I was talking to some friends and they started asking me, do I know what NFTs are? Do you know about this NFT project called Hashmask? And I was like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Please tell me. So they showed me some photos and an image, and then they were saying, this is worth $25,000. I said, you're crazy. This is a scam. This is a Ponzi. This is a cult. What is wrong with you? I was genuinely concerned for them and their well-being, because I think like most people, our first introduction to NFTs is it's difficult to wrap our head around, like, why is there value to a digital asset or a digital good? It just doesn't make sense. We've been living in a world for 20 years or 20 or 30 years where you could right-click save a JPEG and it would be, just that's yours now. And now all of a sudden you're telling me this JPEG's worth $20,000, $30,000, it's a scam. Obviously, I no longer think it's a scam, but it took a while for me to come around and then start to understand, like, what's the value behind it, what's the tech, all of that kind of stuff. And once I did, I fell further and further down the rabbit hole. I started, collecting, trading, investing, and found a bit of success on the trading side. But to me, that wasn't the part that was rewarding or fulfilling or helping. Because, I had just come from 15 years as a professional poker player. The one thing the world does not need is professional poker players. We're adding nothing to society. So I always felt, I'm not adding, I want to give back, I want to do something more. When I got into NFTs, it was much the same. When I was trading and flipping JPEGs and making money, it was like, I'm not doing anything. It's very competitive, it's very cutthroat. I'm taking away, but I'm not adding anything back. So that's sort of like around that time, June last year, I started creating some content. I started a newsletter, I started a podcast, I started a YouTube channel shortly after. And it was just incredible, the sort of like the outpouring and the response that I received, because people were sort of inhaling it, because there really wasn't, and there still isn't, a lot of good Web3 NFT content out there, places where people can go to learn or to understand how this whole world works. So, and on my side of the equation, it felt amazing. It felt good to know that I was creating something that was helping people, that I was giving back, that people were learning. And so I sort of decided mid last year that I want to lean more into that. I want to create more content. I want to sort of try help and educate people. And I realized just sort of how difficult it is for a newcomer in this space. You get into the space and there's questions bombarding you from everywhere. You have no idea where to start, how to start. And I really just, ever since then have been trying to think about how we can push the space forward. And here today, I think that questions, asking them and answering them is probably the best way we can do that. All right. Why is education so important in Web3 specifically? Like, obviously, education is important everywhere in life. It's probably one of the most important things, if not the most important thing. But in Web3 specifically, it's even more important because you make a mistake in Web3, you lose all your money. In Web2, you have a forgot password button, you can call your bank, you can cancel your credit cards, whatever. In Web3, you make a mistake, you click on a bad link, and then poof, everything's gone. And so I think that it's critically important. And then as soon as that happens, like if someone new enters the space and then they make a mistake, they're going to turn away. They're going to be like, oh, I hate this. It is a scam. It is all nonsense. They're going to tell their friends, and then people are going to be turned off it for however long until eventually it catches up again. The stakes are so much higher than anywhere else. The learning curve is incredibly steep, and it's difficult to know where to start. I think we've all had the experience, we're into NFTs a bit. You're at an NFT conference. You get NFTs. You have a friend or a family member who maybe they saw it in the news, they saw it on TV, and they were like, hey, what's this NFT thing all about? Tell me about it. How do I get in? And then what's your response to them? You say, okay, so here's what you do. You watch these YouTube videos. Here's a few articles you can read. Follow these people on Twitter. Join these Discord communities that I think are great. And then come back to me and ask me a bunch of questions. The first question is, what the hell is Discord? Because I think that most people have, it's a whole other world. So I think in order to truly go mainstream, we need to sort of bridge the education gap. It's one of the two key pillars that I really think about when I think about it. What's going to make NFTs go mainstream? One hand, we have education, and that's just like, that's on us, really. It's just everyone here now, everyone in the community, just helping their friends, telling people what you know and learning yourself, answering questions, asking questions. And as time goes on, the level of education is just going to get better. It's just like the average level of knowledge of NFTs and Web3 will increase. And the other pillar, I think, is the infrastructure. I think that we're still really living with like Web 1, 1990s UI, UX, and experience. It's like cutting edge technology, blockchain technology on the one hand, but on the other hand, the UI, UX, it's terrible. Like MetaMask, you go and sign a transaction, and you have no idea what you're signing. It's all awful. So we're never going to go mainstream until I think that tech is abstracted away and the education increases. All right, NFTs are not a scam, but I think everyone has heard that NFTs are a scam. I think a lot of people's first introduction to NFTs and crypto as a whole is it's a scam, there's no value, there's no utility, it's a Ponzi. We battle this sort of attack, or whatever it is, this phrase all the time. People are always saying, mainstream media is always saying NFTs are a scam. NFTs as a space, as a community, as a technology, there are a lot of scammers using NFTs to scam people. That's a fact. But it's not an indictment on the technology, it's an indictment on people. I always say that, like an analogy I always go back to is, think about for those of us old enough to remember, think about the internet in the 90s, when email first came out. People were getting scammed left, right, and center. You would receive an email from some prince saying, hey, I've got $10 million, I just need you to wire me $2,000 for legal fees, and then I'll send you the rest. Nowadays, we laugh at that, right? We think that's crazy, and it's clearly a scam. But back then, people were brand new to the internet, and they thought, oh, it's official, it's an email, it's very official, it looks official, maybe the URL or the email address comes from a legitimate source, or it seems to. People clicked on those links, they got scammed, and clearly, email and the internet did not go anywhere. NFTs are not going to go anywhere. But what happened was, over time, the level of education increased. We all now know not to click on crazy links promising us millions of dollars. At least most of us do, I hope. And on the other hand, the infrastructure improved. Now we have spam filters. Now you go on an email, you don't even see the email because the UI, the UX, the infrastructure has understood the scam attack vectors and completely hidden it from most people so that they aren't even likely to be a victim of it. But we're still in the stages of NFTs being a brand new technology, and unfortunately a lot of people are using it to scam people, but it is going to take education and improved infrastructure to get to the next level. All right, this is a just a little graphic analogy I put together. I thought about calling it the NF tree, but that's a bit cringy, and there's like 12 NF tree projects already, so we're going to call it the NFT Learning Tree. The way that I sort of visualize this is that when most people find out about NFTs and Web3 in general, it's because of one of these colored bubbles. And it's something, it could be like a piece of really nice art. It could be a gaming project. It could be Bored Apes that they see like Eminem as a Bored Ape or Justin Bieber or whoever talking about it. Like, oh, that looks cool. And it's like, it's the fun part. It's the cool part. Or maybe it's like to make money. They say, oh, my friend just made 100x. They just made $100,000 or whatever it is. That's cool, exciting. I'm going to get into NFTs. But what people don't see or understand is the trunk and the roots, everything that comes after that. To me, the trunk is sort of like, and I guess they're all sort of intertwined, but it's like the underlying tech, the blockchain technology. There are so many people who are into NFTs, they don't even know how a blockchain works. I barely know how a blockchain works. It's complicated stuff. It's cutting edge cryptography, and it's difficult to understand, but this is all there beneath the surface. And I think it's important for people to know that it's there and understand, you might not understand everything about it, but you'll know that, it exists, and that's what this whole world is built upon. And then I use the roots as safety and security. So that's like knowledge about how to avoid scams, keep your assets safe, because, not your keys, not your wallet. There's this whole philosophy in crypto that, we have custody of our assets, which is great, it is, but it also means, again, there's no forgot password button, there's no bank or central entity you can call if you make a mistake and go, oops, it's gone forever. So I think a lot of people don't quite understand that yet, and it's sort of our job to teach them and teach good wallet security, teach safety, and all of that. So a couple of months ago, I was on a Twitter space, and someone asked me, they were asking me, what are the 2 or 3 most common questions that I get asked? And I sat there for 10, 15 seconds. I was really thinking about it. And I couldn't come up with an answer. Because I said, if there were 2 or 3 questions that everyone asks me all the time, it would be great. I could just create a website, ZenAcademy.com. It's got 3 questions, FAQ, boom, that's all you need to know. The issue is, people have 50 questions, and they're all different questions. People come, they want to know about NFT gaming. They want to know about different blockchains, layer 2s. Some people want to know how to make money. Some people want to know about the security. Some people want to know about the art. It's just everyone has a different approach, and there's so many different questions because the learning curve is so steep that I just can't answer this question. What are the 2 or 3 most common questions I get asked? There is no answer. It's because everyone has different questions. This is kind of how it feels. This is a graphic from a project that I'm a big fan of, Curious Addies. And I think, I felt like this when I first got into crypto, and I think a lot of people feel the same. You're drowning in all these, it's just the words, the terminology and the glossary required to understand crypto and Web3. It's like, I literally, when I first got in, I remember I sat down and I was feeling overwhelmed, and I wrote down on pen and paper a list of about 15 different things. Some of the things in here, like DAO, layer 2s, gas, and I was like, I need to figure out how what these mean and how it works. And I think that a lot of people feel the same way. It's like there's so much content, we're being bombarded by this like waterfall of content and words, and it's this whole other language that we often feel like we're drowning. And I think that the best way to help those who do feel like they're drowning is just to sort of offer them an avenue to ask questions, to be there to answer their questions, and just to make it as easy as possible for people to understand this difficult thing, this difficult technology, because it's complicated, it's not new, it's not easy, but it's so important. I think if you're here now, you understand that it's going to change the world, but it's just going to take time, it's going to take education, it's going to take better infrastructure, and all of that. So I said earlier that, I want people to feel inspired to ask questions and to answer questions. If we have time, I don't know, I'll take some questions from the audience at the end, but I think that something that a lot of people don't realize is that just by understanding what NFTs are, you know so much more than anyone who doesn't. And I'll use myself as an example. I was being called a thought leader in NFTs and in Web3 June, July of last year. I didn't even know what an NFT was January last year. Within a few months, that amount of information was apparently enough for people to think, oh, this person knows what he's talking about. I was still figuring it out. I still am figuring it out. Everyone in this room, we're still figuring it out. But if you sort of talk to someone brand new who doesn't know anything about NFTs, if you've been in the space for a month, you'll start to realize quickly how much you actually know. You know what MetaMask is. You know what OpenSea is. You know what NFT stands for. There's so many people who've heard of NFT, they don't even know what it stands for. So if you feel like you're not in a position to answer questions, trust me, if you're here in this room, you are, and it would be so helpful and beneficial to the entire space to be answering questions and also asking questions, because again, it all comes down to that's how we learn. That's one of the best ways to learn and to grow in this space is to ask questions. All right, what can you do? So this is it. This is all I'm asking. This whole speech is asking people to ask questions, answer questions, rinse, repeat. Ask questions, answer questions, rinse, repeat. Don't feel like there's any question too dumb. There is no question too dumb. Whatever you're thinking, there's probably 1,000 people out there thinking the same thing. And again, answering questions. If you don't know the answer to something and a friend asks you, go and figure it out yourself. Google it, ask someone else. And that's going to help you learn in the process. It's going to help them learn. It's going to elevate the entire space, and it's going to move us forward. I really think that like education and infrastructure, but education is what we're talking about today, is critically important to take NFTs and Web3 mainstream into the next level, and questions are at the heart and soul of all of that. All right, here's 2 websites that I think are beneficial. Obviously, the second one, Zen Academy, I didn't even really talk about. I didn't want to shill my project and my platform too much, but it's a community that I created in November last year with a focus on educating, helping people, and being sort of like a soft landing spot for people entering Web3 and NFTs, somewhere to come, to ask questions, to find a community of people who are also learning, and again, we're all learning, and just to have like a friendly, safe space, which is not focused on, floor price and moon and pump it up and Lambo and all that kind of stuff. But the first link I'm actually even more excited about is curious.xyz. So this is a website created by the Curious Addies, people I mentioned earlier, some friends of mine. It's basically, if you're familiar with Quora, it's Quora for Web3. It's a website you can ask any question you want, and within 24 hours, someone will answer it. Someone who is an expert in Web3 and NFTs will be checking the website every day. There's lots of people out there. It's crowdsourcing answers from experts. And it's honestly, I think it's going to change the entire space. It's going to blow up. It's going to be amazing. So if you have questions, go to curious.xyz, join Zen Academy. We'll be there to help you answer your questions. And let's see, there's 3 minutes left. If anyone has maybe one quick question, we can go for that. If you want to just raise your hand. And where are we? There we go, in the back there. Yep, you. Oh, okay, we have a microphone coming.
I was wondering how, for yourself, what was the quality that made you to someone who knows to seen in the space in 6 months?
What was the quality? Sorry, could you just repeat that? I didn't quite.
The quality which was most helpful for yourself to transform into this new thing you are.
No, it's a great question. Honestly, I think a curiosity, like that, it seems almost too convenient that that's the answer. But for me, that was the thing that, last year when I was trying to understand this space and starting to create content, it was this insatiable curiosity, which I still have, to try and learn about NFTs, to learn about Web3, and just to take the time, spend all of my waking hours trying to unpack this entire space and figure it out and explain it to others. I think that, for me, the whole reason I started creating content was because I learn better by teaching, by writing, by explaining. I think it's the same for everyone, and that's why I think it's so important to answer questions and not just ask them. But at the end of the day, it was, I think, my curiosity and just continually asking questions and learning and then sharing that with people is what sort of, it took me to where I am now, which is so crazy that I'm on a stage talking to hundreds and hundreds of people about NFTs, which I didn't know what NFTs were 18 months ago, but here we are. It's crazy. All right, thank you for the question, and thank you all for listening. This has been a wonderful experience. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was great.